Hey everyone, I wanted to make a little video that I've been meaning to make for a while about a question that I used to ask myself a lot when I first went vegan, and it's a question that I see and hear other people talking about quite a lot, which is, why are all vegans spiritual? And what I used to think was, why do all vegans walk around barefoot? Why do they climb trees? Why do they hug trees? Why do they always talk about namaste and wear bright coloured t-shirts and coats and hats and run around like a bunch of loose fairies? And I always just found it interesting, because obviously it's not every single vegan, but for example, I rarely saw, a businessman with his tie done up looking smart and then say, oh, by the way, yes, and I'm vegan. It's always very sort of free spirit minded people. Or if the businessman does go vegan, eventually he becomes really spiritual, and I just never really knew why it was a thing. I was spiritual and practicing spiritual practices before I went vegan. I was doing meditation, and I've had some experiences in my life that have shown me more to this world than what first meets the eye, I suppose. But I feel like I finally understand why a lot of vegans end up becoming very spiritual. And I think it's actually unavoidable in the long run to not go vegan and not be spiritual, because initially you go vegan for one or two reasons, either for animals or for your own health. Ultimately, very few people do it for the environment. Some people do, and that's great, but a lot of people do it because they see the exploitation that's happening to animals and what they're going through, and they don't want to be a part of that. And then there's a lot of people as well who see the health benefits and they say, yeah, I want to be a part of that as well. I went vegan for the animals, but I also loved the health stuff that came with it, all the benefits, and we can go into that another day. But I've realised that actually when you do go vegan, it starts from a spiritual place, especially if you do it for the animals. That's a spiritual thing. A lot of people don't actually know, like, what is spirituality? What's it all about? And it is subjective. You can say it's about meditation, it's about yoga, it's about being a nice person, it's about following spiritual practices, it's about meditating, cold water immersions, understanding self, understanding the cosmos, the universe, being in tune with your higher self, all these different things. But ultimately, for me anyway, and it is subjective, but for me, spirituality is about recognizing that the environment around you is all made out of the same stuff, and that we're all one, and we're all part of the same divine truth and divine energy. The same matter that makes up this tree is in me as well. The same life force that makes the flowers grow from the grass is the same life force that's in me. And the same life force that's in me is the same life force that's in animals, hence why I don't want to eat them or hurt them in any way, shape or form, which I'd never do. But obviously when you're not vegan, you pay someone else to do it. So if that's the reason for going vegan, then it comes from a spiritual place. And if you want to become healthier, that comes from a spiritual place as well, because without physical health, you can't have spiritual health. And I think a lot of people are searching for health and healing, but they don't quite know how to find it. So that's the first thing to happen. You make that first spiritual decision, and then it's just a bit of a rabbit hole. Everything starts happening. But when you start eating fresh, living food, it changes everything in your body, and it changes your mind, and you end up becoming more spiritual without you realizing it. So I don't walk barefoot to be a weirdo. It doesn't happen that much, but like I'm walking around this park right now barefoot, and I've had a few dog walkers look at my feet, and I'd rather that didn't happen. I'd rather just, like, you know, I wish it was as normal as wearing shoes, which to me is abnormal, especially in a park. You know, it's so soft on the feet and everything, but I don't do it to be a weirdo or to be a hippie. I do it because I feel more connected to the earth when I do this. I'm eating living whole foods, and therefore my body wants to become more connected to the living earth that we live on. So taking off your shoes is just another step. And yeah, it looks weird, looks hippie, you know, I'm gonna hug a tree next, but something happens to your consciousness when you start eating the way nature designed it to be. Something happens, and it makes you want to meditate more. It makes you want to do things like yoga rather than bodybuilding, for example. You start stripping away from your ego. It's so interesting how it happens. When I'm eating meat and stuff, I was a different person, and I had all these sort of angry, stressful thoughts, and it's probably from the beautiful animals that were killed, you know, and they were having those stressful, angry thoughts as it was happening. We won't go into the, you know, the science behind that, which there is, but you start just getting wrapped up in your own ego, and you think you're more than what you are. And then when you start eating living foods and connecting with the earth, it's a snowball effect. It just keeps going and going. So like I say, it starts with the diet, and then you start feeling healthier, and then you start drinking different water, which, you know, I've made a water distiller video, which you guys should definitely look up if you haven't yet. And then you start taking your feet off, start taking your shoes off and connecting your feet with the earth, and you start wanting to climb trees, and you start wanting to be nice to people rather than just animals, because you realize people are animals as well. And then you start thinking about your relationships. How do I treat my family, my friends, my loved ones? What more can I do for humanity? What more can I do for the planet? And you start looking at insects differently, bugs and ants and snails and slugs, and you look at them and you realize there's something there, someone in there. And I guarantee, and you know, attack me for saying this, please, but I guarantee if there's a lot of sort of meat eaters watching this, they're not really going to get what I'm saying. They're going to think I'm a bit of a crazy person by saying, oh, look at all the little insects and stuff. But I guarantee all the vegans watching this will understand what I'm actually saying, what I'm talking about. Who's to say your life is more precious than an ant? Because if ants became extinct, the entire ecosystem would collapse. Whereas if humans became extinct, which would be dreadful, everything gets better. The soil, the earth, the rivers, the forests, everything improves if humans aren't here. So who are we to say that we're all that? Bees as well are a big one. Such an important, beautiful insect, creature. Yet, if they became extinct, everything collapses. The world cannot be the world that we know it without these tiny, tiny little creatures. But just because they're small doesn't mean they're insignificant, doesn't mean they're worthless, doesn't mean they're pointless, and that we should just swat them and kill them and not care about them. Because there's probably things out there that are bigger and stronger than you, but you wouldn't want them to attack you or harm you for no reason. Especially if you're on their property, which you had no idea about. You're just going out for a nice walk, and a wolf attacks you for being on their turf. You didn't know. Just like the bee being in your conservatory, it doesn't know. It's just living its life. Allow it to live their life, you know. So I just wanted to share some thoughts on that, really, and I think it's ultimately a snowball effect, and that it's something to do with eating living foods. You just become more in tune and more in harmony with the earth and its vibrations and everything like that. I mean, like, I've noticed it a lot with dogs. Some coming over now. But yeah, like dogs and cats and all these other animals, they just seem to, when it's a weird shift that happens when you change the way that you eat. I think it, and again, I know some people won't like what I'm about to say, but like, I think it does definitely change your vibration, like what you're putting out. And I think that animals can really sense it. Anyone who knows me knows that dogs have this thing with me. I don't know what it is, but a lot of dogs seem to really like my energy. And I truly think that when your body is not full of animals, animals know you're not a threat to them. And when your intentions aren't to kill, animals know this, and they feel more loving and understanding and accepting around you, and safer, which they should. It's a really beautiful thing, and your frequency matches with other frequencies, you know. But that's why I think, you know, to answer the question, why are all vegans spiritual? I don't think it can be helped. Even if it's just something simple like taking part in yoga classes or getting into rock climbing, or just these. And I know people will be like, how's rock climbing spiritual? But more simple, honest movements, less ego, more about what can I do, what can I achieve, how can I use this body for good. I just see it a lot, and I think it's something that should be praised upon, because it's not spoken about enough. And I think it's such a wonderful, beautiful, honest community. And the people who are vegan in the long run, you know, sort of like 10, 20 years down the line, I rarely see them as an angry, hateful, horrible person. I just don't see it. They're always loving, they're always kind, they're always honest. So that's what I aspire to be. And the longer I'm vegan, the more spiritual I feel like I'm coming, you know. And I have no intention to stop. And you can learn more about yourself all day, every day. Hello. Hello. That's a big ball. Can I have it? You want to give it to me? I'm fighting over a ball. So close to my camera. Go on then. Do your thing. Okay, there's me talking about how I have this, how dogs are attracted to me, yet they just ran straight past me on the video. Brilliant. But, oh, did I speak too soon? Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there, because I think it's playtime, isn't it? The sun's about to set, so I'm going to go enjoy that, and I'm going to carry on walking barefoot and enjoy that as well. But in the meantime, going vegan, don't freak out if you find that you're starting to cut out toxic people and suddenly social media isn't doing it for you anymore. If you're a big fan of, I don't know, boxing on the TV and stuff, suddenly you just don't want to be a part of that energy anymore. And I think it's such a loving thing to do, to just eat how we're supposed to eat and be how we're supposed to be. We're all loving by nature, but we get distracted along the line, I suppose. But more about that in another video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Let me just show you this sunset. We're in a local park right now, but parks are quite underrated. They're really nice places. There's lots of life in a park. There's lots of dogs and owners out. So I'm going to carry on walking, work these tootsies and go from there. Have a lovely day.